What's up everyone, this is CyberKnight, and today I thought I would talk about the top 10 best cards that are in Dimension Force. Of course too, because this set is just around the corner, it's the next main set coming out for us over here in English, and there's a lot of really cool cards in it. So yeah, remember too, these are just my opinions, and also too, the order of this list, it kind of matters, but it kind of doesn't too. I just mainly wanted to talk about 10 different cards and to make it a little bit catchy. So a few of these you could kind of move around on this list. But remember, these are my opinions. These are like a lot of decks I use, so I'm more excited about certain cards because of that. But I am talking about a lot of different cards too that I believe will be more useful in the future, and a lot of people will be excited to hear about as well. So it's a little mix of all those things together, but of course if you have your own list, or you have a card or cards that aren't on my list, let me know what they are down in those comments below. And let me know too what you guys think about this video as well, because yeah, like and subscribe helps out tremendously, and I like to do more of these kind of videos if you guys would enjoy them. So give me some feedback. Anyway, let's go on and get going. The first card that we have is Exo Sisters Magnifica. This card is one I've been looking forward to for a while. I'm actually a pretty big fan of Exo Sisters. It's a deck that's just basically Xyz summon over and over. Kind of reminds me of Utopia in that matter. And this is almost like a, what would I call it? Like either a fusion or a Chaos Xyz for them. It's a little bit of both, because it's treated more as almost like a Chaos Xyz, how you bring it out, because obviously it's an Xyz, it's not a fusion monster. But it's also made to be like a really strong boss monster for them that can do some serious damage, that can also help you bring out some of the other Exo Sisters, because you're able to get one of the Xyz monsters that's a material to it, and then just easily special summon it. So I believe this card's going to make it easier to get like your different Exo Sisters out on the field, the Xyz monster versions of them, and have a heavy hitter boss monster officially for them, because the one that they've had is good, but I feel like this one is just way better, and it's basically like them too. They're joining forces in the artwork and stuff. So I think this will be a really great key card for the deck, and will give them a little bit more of that power boost that they're going to need, because yeah, the deck's even getting more support in the next set, and I can see a pretty good future for these, so I'm looking forward to it. Then next up we have Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord. This card is more like all zombie support together, but I chose this one specifically because it is, I guess, kind of the boss monster for them. But there's a lot of good zombie support actually in this set. If you're a zombie player out there, I think you're going to be really excited. You have like your zombie clown, which is basically another plague spreader. You have a few other synchro monsters as well. You have that like coral dragon, sort of like it's Tatsu Necro grown up, as you guys have seen from the openings. There's like a Felgran zombie as well. But I just thought I would go with this one because it in particular makes it so it can revive other zombies from your graveyard. And of course, it can revive itself several times too, like zombies do. So I thought it was pretty notable because of that. I think it's kind of cool too to see basically an evolution of a structure deck main monster that wasn't like another structure deck. It was just like in a main set. So I thought that was cool too. And yeah, I mean, it's Red Eyes, so I am a little bit sucker for Red Eyes too, but really, the zombie support in this set looks really good, so I would check out if you have any interest at all in zombies. Now's your time to get some new support that is definitely looking like it's going to be a lot of fun to use. Then after that, we have Sylvan Dance Point. I think I'm saying that correctly, forgive me if I'm wrong on that, but basically, it is finally a Link monster for Sylvans. That's pretty much what's going on there. I mean, it kind of feels like it should have been something like in one of the other sets where you were getting Link monsters for previous archetypes. It feels like something that's a little bit late for them, but it still has that excavating effect. It is a good Link monster to bring that, has good points for, you know, being able to have those two like bottom arrows like you always want to see in a Link monster to make it easier. And of course, it can help change levels and stuff too. That way you can Xyz summon and go for your Sylvans. Mainly, I just find this to be a good one for like plants and stuff too. It's not just for Sylvans. I think it could come in handy in some other decks as well. But it is nice to see, again, another archetype that's been kind of forgotten to actually get more support, and good support at that too. Then after that, we have Theron King Regulus. This is basically the whole archetype together, because this is like the main archetype of this set. There's always one that like looks like it's going to be competitive for each main set. This is that one, you know. Therons look like they're going to be very powerful. They're part of the whole lore that's going on too, and this being like the boss monster for them, Yeah, I figured it would be the main one to choose because it is fairly easy to bring out. A lot of the Therons are like easy to bring out because they like see one in the graveyard, they can come out there, and also they have like a whole equipping thing going on where they can help each other out and become stronger. This one though in particular too also has it where it can negate effects. So the archetype looks like a lot of fun. I've seen a ton of people using them. And yeah, I feel like it's probably the most expensive, hopefully not, but most expensive probably archetype of the set. It's going to be that new theme that people are going to want to try out for themselves. And yeah, that being the king of them, I figured I'd give him like the main slot. But seriously, it will definitely be an amazing deck to use. They are getting more support in the future too. And again, they're supposed to go with the whole branded like Ice Jade and all the whole story that's going on right now, which I don't fully understand. But I wish they had a book or something to translate it for us because it sounds pretty awesome. But yeah, they look like a lot of fun from what I've seen too. So I'm kind of tempted to try them out myself. Then after that, we have This is Starfrost. This is supposed to also be the promo, I believe, too. You can get the core premiere. But basically, this dude is really interesting. Supposedly there's some lore with him that I've heard from my friends that he's from different dimensions or something. I don't exactly know what's going on with the lores lately. Ever since like Hidden Arsenal, I've had a hard time keeping up with different lore of Yugioh cards. But anyway, this card is basically part of the Scare Clause. It looks like he might be part of some other stuff in the future too. I know we're getting a card for him in the future, one of the Scare Claw links that are going to make it so you can basically search for him, get him easily. Because what he does is he's able to basically weaken one of your opponent's monsters. And what's nice is you can weaken, like, for example, their boss monster and make it not as big of a threat. So I see him as a card to pick up now. He could have more of a future, and I've even heard him compared basically to Fallen of Albaz, where it's like a card like by himself that's kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool, where people didn't really think too much, like it's a useful card, but okay. And then later on it's like, oh, this guy has like his whole archetype, and he has a whole reason for being this way, and he's going to be the key card for something. I think that's what's going on basically with him too. Then next up we have starting Venom, Predapower Fusion Dragon. Yeah, I had to read that one off because that is a very long name. But yes, of course, Predaplants actually got new support in this set. This is a new boss monster for Starving Venom, basically, is what you're seeing from this. And I feel like it's always notable because Predaplants are still very good. We're seeing basically fusion monsters take over the meta. Things like super polymerization, I feel like are going to be something you're going to see even more of than you did even back then, because being able to take your opponent's monsters and use them to bring out your own strong monsters and you can't do anything about it is always a scary thing, and that's what Predaplants do a lot of anyway. So this is just like an upgraded version, I feel like, of Starving Venom in a way. It's one, too, that if he is, you know, like gone by your opponent's card effect, too, you can also bring out a Dark Monster to replace him. So you can even bring back the original Starving Venom to bring it out, too. I think it could be a good like card to be in the extra deck, mainly if you're using like super polys, even if you're not using Predaplants, for example. If you're using super polys and they happen to have the right stuff for it, because let me double check here. Yeah, you need a dark fusion monster and then just a fusion monster to fuse into that. That's not a problem these days. But yeah, it could be a great card like that, like we've seen with other Predaplant monsters, where they're just in the extra deck just in case. And you can use your opponent's monsters to bring them out. Then next up we have Illegal Knight, which I kind of like this card. He's basically what I was on YouTube for a little bit. Kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, this guy though doesn't have a Dark Magician Girl pillow, but he does have some amazing effects because he goes with the whole adventure archetype. So basically, you can't have any cards on your side of the field, any monsters, you can't control them, but if you have one of the tokens, you can easily bring him out, and then you can like swap around some of your cards, or you can get rid of a couple of cards your opponent has and give them Illegal Knight, which he's only 2,000 attack and defense, so he's not that powerful, but he kind of reminds me of something like a Kaiju sort of ability. Not the same, don't get me wrong, but being able to get rid of some of your opponent's stuff, but they get a monster in return, but not one that's too great for them, could really come in handy in a lot of situations. They have their boss monster out there, you know, just get rid of it. Oh, you can have this Knight card too, which then they can go on from that and do even more. So I think it's going to be a great card for adventures. I think we're going to see him teched into a lot of those different decks that are using part of that engine into their own deck. And yeah, I kind of feel like too they're going to see even more support in the future. So I kind of wonder if this one will be turned into, you know, an even more popular card later on. But yeah, it is a pretty scary one, and again, this is like the only thing I compare it to really is like one of those types of monster effects where you're just able to go, oh, that's cool cards you have, okay, here, now you can just have this one. It's one of those things, and I think it's definitely going to come in handy. Then next up, Libromancer Fire. I feel like, again, it's basically all Libromancers because they did get new support in this, as we kind of were hoping, But yeah, Fire is kind of the main one. It's a new secret rare, so I thought I'd give him more of the spotlight because he's a really good searcher. Anyway, with them, they got a lot of support I feel like that they needed. I still feel like they need a little bit of a stronger boss monster. Like they need some kind of really strong ritual monster to go for. That seems to be something that we're missing. Although with just getting a few cards every so often, you know, out of the main sets, and this being the second time they've gotten something, they look like they're headed in the right direction. They just need to stick the landing, right? You know, it's kind of like the Vendred stuff where it was kind of like, okay, this is cool. All right, this makes... Oh, what are you doing, Konami? Oh, no, what's happening? You know, that's what happened with them kind of thing. And like I've said before with Konami, World Premiere Archetypes either do amazing or nothing at all. And we've seen that happen either way. It can go either way so easy. I feel like they're on the right path, though. So if you're interested in Libromancers, I would pick them up. I think I'm going to as well because I like a lot of ritual archetypes anyway, I'll be honest. But yeah, they look like they're getting good support. They just need a little bit more. Like I said, I feel like a really strong boss monster, and with all this other stuff they've had, all the searching effects and everything, like with Fire and the other effects too that we have going with the other monsters, if we can make it so they're consistent because of all that, and then you give them a good monster that's also consistent and easy to bring out, there you go. You're all set. So definitely looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. I really hope they stick the landing. Now with only 2 cards left, I have to mention this one. It is Dino Morpheus Rexturn. This card is awesome. Dino Morpheus finally got some even better support. This is like their main boss monster. I feel like their big fusion, which I'm still hoping maybe there's like one more even after this. But this card can just like stop a lot of things because depending on your life points and your opponent's monster's attacks, it can just stop effects. And you can also pay some of your life points and make sure that it coincides with that. So you can kind of control it. And with Dino Morpheus anyway, it looks like they're mainly controlling a lot of stuff they do. I mean, they look pretty interesting to me. Even when we got the first part of their support, they look like they're going to be fun. But getting this fusion monster is definitely going to help them out. Make it so a lot of your opponent's monster effects are just done is amazing. Plus this being a fairly strong monster, and then if it is destroyed, you get another monster to replace it. It looks like it has just about all the boxes checked. As long as you can control, you know, where your life points are and everything, then I feel like you can control the whole field with a card like this. So this card looks amazing, and the effects are really good too. It feels like a strong boss monster for them, and again, just being able to shut off those effects where it's not very difficult for it to do that. Yeah, that's pretty good. When you get a strong monster and a skill drain together, that's always a good thing. And then, last but not least, we have Albaz Lenitus, the Abyss Dragon. That's another one I had to read off because it's a little bit longer name. Anyway, more support for Albaz, more support for the branded. And this card, it kind of reminds me of a Chimera Tech Overdragon for them, in a way. I mean, hear me out. First off, it's easy to bring out, just needs Albaz and all that. And of course, too, it will gain a number of attacks depending on how many materials were part of it. So that's why it kind of reminds me of like Chimera Tech on that too. I mean, you're able to get a card that is fairly strong. What was its attack again? It is 2,500. Being able to do those multiple attacks too, I feel like you could go for game. That's usually what would probably happen once you're bringing this bad boy out. And then if something does happen to him, you're able to get a polymerization or a fusion card afterwards. So that gives you a ton of options, obviously, too, with the deck. So yeah, this feels like another amazing fusion for them, and whew, they are giving Albaz some sick support. You know, they just keep giving him more and more. In the next set, too, we know we're getting like another version of Albaz as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this one's going to do, but basically it feels like another boss monster for them to go with their mini boss monsters. And again, it kind of feels like one of those kind of like you go for game after you bring this guy out. It really does remind me of like a Chimera Tech sort of thing going on. So yeah, what do you guys think about this list? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Again, there's not too much of an order to it. I kind of went with a little bit what I thought were the most important, you know, being the last ones, you know, and all that. But let me know what you guys think on it. You know, what cards are you most excited about? Doesn't have to be meta either. I mean, there could be plenty of different cards. But let me know too if you guys like this video and if you want to see more content like this in the future. I feel like I'm going to be, again, way more excited though about Power of the Elements because there's a lot of cards I want from that one for sure. I'm probably going to get a case. So thank you guys for watching. Be safe out there, and of course I will catch you guys later. See ya.